This is Jaron from MarineAndReef.com, and today on our budget reef tank build series, we're going to show you guys how we frag some corals. Now, if you're wondering what that is, you can be like my little brother who told me he thought it was throwing frag grenades at corals, but that is not what it is. We're basically going to fragment, which is where that term frag comes from. We're going to cut pieces off of these corals, and there's a couple reasons why we might want to do this. One is as corals grow and grow and grow, they start bumping into each other. And as they bump into each other, they can sting each other, they can overgrow another coral and shade it out so that it dies. So one reason to frag them up is basically to trim them back so that everybody's still happy and no corals are growing over the top of one another. The other is you can cut a piece off of a coral and then move it to a different tank for it to regrow, or move it to a different place inside your tank for it to regrow. And this is great. It's a great way to share corals with your friends, as well as maybe make a little bit of pocket change on the side if you decide to sell some fragments of your corals. So without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and stand up and we're going to show you guys how we cut up these corals, how we put them down and anchor them onto our frag plugs, and then you can get an idea of how you do this at home when it's time for you to frag your corals. All right, so we're into the process of fragging the corals in this tank, and I thought I'd first show you guys which corals I'm going to frag today and why we're fragging them. So down here we have this beautiful Elegance coral, and if you notice, the bottom polyps on this Gorgonian are not opening, and that's because this Elegance coral is stinging them. And the Elegance coral isn't going away. I really like it, and I'm okay if the bottom of that Gorgonian dies, but I'd also like to save that little branch. So today we're going to frag that little branch, cut it off, anchor it down, then I can take it home or move it to another tank here in the office where it can regrow, and that way we can save it from getting stung by the Elegance coral. The other coral we're going to frag today is this Montipora Plate up top. And the reason I'm fragging that is simply because I love Montipora. I don't have this one at home. So let's take a piece off and take it home and keep a little bit of it at home as well as here in the office. Now, the first step I like to do when fragging corals is to turn off all the flow pumps in the tank. This is because when the coral are waving around or blowing your hands around with the pumps, it's a lot harder. So we'll just click it off. Step number 2 is I'm going to put some gloves on, and that's because there's far too many times I've gotten super glue all over my hands. All right, so now we got gloves on and we got flow off. We're going to start by cutting off a piece of these corals. And today for our Gorgonian, we're going to use this guy. And this is what's often sold as aquarium plant scissors. There's a bunch of places that make these. This one is Aqua Vitro, and we've had them for a long time, so we're going to use them. But Owasa makes some of these, Insta makes some of these, and I've not noticed one being significantly better than the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and I'm going to snip off a little piece of this Gorgonian. All right, and there we are. So we got ourselves some Gorgonian. All right, so now that we got our Gorgonian set aside, we're going to anchor them down to some of our fragging materials. So we've got some big frag plugs, little frag plug, we got discs, and we got plates. By far the most popular are these small, just what I'm going to call basic economy frag plugs. And that's what we're going to use for this guy. These discs are good for really chunky things, these kind of in the middle chunky things, and the plates are really good for encrusting corals. The idea is you can put plates together and then the coral will naturally spread from one plate to the next plate. But for this Gorgonian, we're going to use just a regular frag plug. Now, when it comes to anchoring down corals, there's a few things you can use. You can use regular glue. This is our Marine and Reef extra thick glue, and this is probably the most common thing that I use. You can also use some glue accelerator with it. And this basically just makes that glue harden really, really fast, which is something we all like. But today I'm going to use another specialty product. I'm going to use this Tunzi Instant Coral Gum. And this is in particular my favorite product I found for Gorgonians, and I'll show you guys why. So while a glue tends to harden, it's most efficient at kind of gluing a flat thing against a flat thing, whereas this epoxy wraps around something and then becomes hard. And it's actually what we use when you first put these Gorgonians inside the tank. And you can see it in our previous video as we anchored them down to the rock. And it's what we're going to use today as well to anchor this little frag down. So what you want to do is you want to take approximately proportionate parts. And you're going to mix them together. Just going to wad them up into a nice ball. So once you got your wad, you're going to stick it on the frag plug itself. Try to wrap it around it so that it grips nice and well. We're going to push down our Gorgonian in there. And you could actually push in a couple of branches if you had a few of them. And we're going to place it back in the tank. And then it may be kind of hard to see here, but we're using one of the Tunzi frag racks as holes for frag plugs. And what I love about these Tunzi racks is it looks like a rock. So this guy is magneted onto the back, but it looks like a rock, which is way more pleasing than those artificial ones. So next, we're going to take a piece of this Montipora, and we're going to use an incredibly complex tool, your fingers. So we're just going to go down here, and I'm going to try to get this little blade, and we're just going to kind of bend and snap. And we got ourselves a nice piece. Now for this guy, I'm going to use this fat frag plug. It looks a little bit more proportionate to that piece right there. And we're going to use our Marine and Reef glue, which is what I use for most of the fragging. Now, when you're using this glue, there's a few tricks, one of which I'll show you right now. We're going to go ahead and take the frag plug over to our water. We're going to want to apply a little bit of glue to our frag plug. And then we're going to dunk it. And that'll kind of trigger it to start hardening. Give a little bit more. We're going to dunk it again. Now we kind of have a nice thick glue bubble on there. Now we're going to take this back over to our coral. And what I like to do is first give it a spray with the Insta set. This helps it harden extra fast. Push our coral down on it. And now we're going to transfer it back to the frag rack. All right. So now that all our corals are on that frag rack, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave all the pumps unplugged just for a couple more minutes. That'll let everything really harden as far as the glue and epoxy. And then we're going to turn the pumps back on. If you turn them on right away, it might blow them off. So you're going to make sure everything's settled really good. And that's pretty much all there is to fragging. Once you fragged a coral, I'm going to recommend that you keep it in the same tank that you fragged it from for at least a couple days. This way, nothing is changing. You kind of just chopped off a piece of the corals that causes some stress. You don't want to immediately cause some other stress. After a couple days of it sitting in there, you can go ahead and transfer it to another tank or give it to a buddy who wants a piece of that coral. If you like what you saw today, then like and subscribe for more videos like this.